Welcome, everybody. Hi. That is my friend Zeb. He's having technical difficulties. He's going to soldier through it because we got a busy show for you today. We have 5 stories Canadians and Americans, specifically today, Canadians and Americans both need to know about the state of democracy in North America, about what's going on with the United States, what's happening with Donald Trump and the Epstein files. Just finished a banger of a Substack Live with Lev Parnas, where all he did was basically ferret out every piece of work that you've ever done pointing to Russia around the Epstein files. And that Durbin report on Friday, which pretty much didn't just insinuate, it said, hey, where's that 1.5 billion and 4,725 wire transfers from Epstein and JP Morgan to Russia? Where is that? Where'd that come from? And they're like, we don't have to worry about it. Anyway, Zev's been right this whole time. You've got a guy that connects the dots, and I just like to muck it up a little bit as I do, but we've got lots of stuff to get to, including travel to and from the United States, the Epstein stuff. We've got an update on the Coldplay CEO. That's a great fucking story. And Trump threatening to sabotage his own trade deals, apparently. Where do you want to start today?
You
do you want to start?
I don't actually start about talking about Epstein because this year it's 6 months to almost day now that Donald Trump has been in power, and we've all been looking at this 6-month mark as a bit of a concern for all of us because 6 months is when authoritarian rulers tend to consolidate power to a great extent. So as a 6-month sort of check-in on how he's doing, it occurs to me that he's doing not great on many levels. And the biggest level that he's doing particularly badly at is this Epstein story, which just won't go away under any circumstances.
He's doing not great on so many levels.
But I mean, yes, on most levels, he's doing not great.
Guys, I'm just going to understate it. Zev Shalev here. He's struggling. He's on the presidential struggle bus.
I mean, let's think about it. What does he have to actually talk about that was been a success in the last 6 months? He claims the Houthi thing was a success, but really that wasn't, because it was all broadcast on Signal and put his entire national security infrastructure at risk.
So, and the Houthis are still bombing the shit out of American ships in the Red Sea, by the way.
There's that, yeah. I mean, there really is nothing that you could say about Donald Trump that he's been successful. He also claims, $300 billion in revenue, which he claims is coming in from tariffs. Well, if that's the case, why are they cutting all the Medicaid? Why are they introducing all these cuts to the social net? Why are they doing all the ridiculous tax cuts that they're doing only for the rich and not for everybody else if they have all this revenue? So the man is falling apart, and it's a presidency that's falling apart. But the biggest thing about it is, of course, the Epstein story, which continues to dominate everything I see out there in terms of his panic. Some people have suggested he's launched a panic room because he's got to handle all the incoming Epstein stuff that is coming, and there is.
Yeah, did you read that too? That he's got this panic room when you have to go and decamp around any Epstein stuff. It's like this private room in and around the West Wing or the White House where only he and Bondi and a couple of other people are allowed to actually go in because that's where they'll look at things, they'll look at files, they'll look at documents.
And these, yes, but yes,
yeah. It does. Sounds like one of those secure rooms that we talk about the government has. But interesting because read that today and I'm like, wow, fascinating. You combine that with the fact that Dick Durbin put out a story. He broke something on Friday, Senator Dick Durbin. He's like, oh, by the way, I've got a whistleblower from the FBI who says over 1,000 FBI agents have combed through 100,000 documents to take your name and Donald Trump's name out of it. I've got receipts of 1.5 billion in wire transfers between JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, a couple other skeevy banks that Trump and Epstein exclusively did business with. Transfers that go to Russia, to women in Russia, Russian businessmen, Russian oligarchs. So we'd like you to explain that. Radio fucking silence. Instead, distraction theater was the name of the game this weekend. I don't know if you saw this. Donald Trump really tried to go viral, trying to get the Washington Redskins to go back to their old racist moniker. Same with the Cleveland Indians. Litigating, trying to assume that, or trying to tell everybody that Adam Schiff has committed mortgage fraud. And then my favorite distraction from this weekend was Donald Trump suing literally everybody from Dow Jones to the Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch, whose real name is like Keith or something like that. I found out on the weekend he goes by Rupert for some fucking unknown reason.
True.
His real name's Keith. Murdoch. Just go with Keith. It's way cooler than Rupert. Anyway,
I mean,
And it's all to take your eyes off Ukraine. It's all to take your eyes off what happened in Ukraine. It's all to protect himself, and it's all to protect this pedophile cabal, this transnational criminal organization, different governments and assholes that Donald Trump is literally the vanguard for right now, which is why everybody pumped a bunch of money into his campaign, which is why they needed to cheat, lie, and steal to win this last election. And it is why, and the only thing that is sticking to Donald Trump at the moment, he just can't fucking change the channel, Zev.
He can change the channel because there's more coming out. Firstly, on the distractions that you keep pointing out to, look, this fever dream of arresting Obama has been out there for a very long time.
Did you see that deepfake he put out?
Yeah, I mean, this is ridiculous. This is the president of the United States putting out a deepfake video. It's like it's lost. We've lost the plot. But this is something that they've fantasized for a long time. But what it really is signaling in their mind is how close everyone is to getting Donald Trump. Because at the end of the day, what's happening, the reason they're going after Obama, which is the perceived leader of the other side, is because Trump is so close to being completely trapped by his own lies and his own history. And later on today, I'm putting out part one of what is quite an expansive investigation I've done into the role of Donald Trump in laundering money through the 80s and the role of Jeffrey Epstein in laundering money that were proceeds from the Iran-Contra affair. And when you look at these two things together, firstly, it's a fascinating story. It all takes place, and the thing that dropped the penny for me was it all takes place in a compound in Manhattan, which used to house the Helmsley Palace Hotel and the Olympic Towers. And it also housed a building that was Jeffrey Epstein's headquarters. But when you look at it on a map, or if you visited there, you'll realize that the whole thing is interconnected through above ground atrium that you can cross from one building to the other building to the other building. And at the Olympic Towers was where Adnan Khashoggi lived. Donald Trump lived there for at least 4 years in the late 70s and early 80s. When the Marcuses lived at the Olympic Towers, Maxwell had his operations at the Palace Hotel, at the adjoining Palace Hotel. And Jeffrey Epstein's J.E. Epstein Enterprises was at this attached home that was attached to the Palace Hotel. So you've got a location which basically, when you look at it on a map and you see the actual location and the architecture of the location, you realize is the center point of money laundering around the Iran-Contra affair. And what followed was a lot of money, billions of dollars being washed through the Towers Financial, which is Stephen Hoffenberg and Jeffrey Epstein's operation, basically a Ponzi scheme. And I've been able to piece all these pieces together, and it presents quite a remarkable view of what the 1980s was like, and how involved Donald Trump was in not exactly the Jeffrey Epstein operation, but a parallel operation to launder money through his Trump condominiums, through Trump Towers, to Russian interests, to a lot of money that was leaving the Soviet Empire at the time, all under the guise and coordination of Robert Maxwell, who, as everyone knows, was the sort of Epstein was his successor. Let me put it that way. So it's a very complex story. It's not one that's going to be easily to digest, but I'll put out part one later on today. It is a very fascinating look at how involved Donald Trump has been in this massive multinational corruption scheme to destroy American democracy. And it all began with Iran-Contra.
Yeah, and don't get lost, and keep in mind, Zeb's been at this for a solid 7-8 years. He's an expert in the subject matter. He has had basically his life and his career put on hold by the powers that be for putting this out over the past several years. So he's only now getting vindicated. He's only now being able to kind of and the benefit of hindsight, obviously, it sounds like you can put some of these puzzle pieces together that have a nice denouement, or, an opportunity to be able to kind of wrap a bow on it because of what we're seeing now. I go back to the Durbin report. How interested are you in getting the financial details around the $1.5 billion and 4,725 wire transfers between J.P. Morgan, Epstein, and Russia? How stoked are you?
I'm really interested in those because, I found out in my investigation that JP Morgan was actually the platform that J.E. Epstein used in his company to basically launder all this money. They used the Forex platform of JP Morgan to do all the business of of the money laundering that they were doing at Towers and through other organizations. So if JP Morgan was the platform they were using, and they've got $1.5 billion in that Durban list, then that's going to be very telling, because a lot of those transactions did come out of Russia. A lot of those, Epstein was surrounded by Russian operatives, two models, so-called models, who were actually agents who were surrounded him as his assistants. But he was also connected to a deputy minister in the Putin government and in the Kremlin, I should say, who was in contact with him on regular occasions. So, Epstein has his contacts to Russia, without a doubt. Of course, he was handled by Israeli military intelligence, but so does Trump. Trump has the same associations, slightly different ones, but Trump is very associated with the Kremlin, and the KGB began to try and influence his career by becoming a sort of an asset for them as early as 1987, maybe some say early as 1983. So the 80s were a rocking time,
Yeah. Yeah.
This is where they forged these big alliances, and so much dirty money came into America at the time, because this is really a corruption scheme to corrupt America. The Soviets used to call this that they were going to infect the American system with their money, and they did. They took all their corrupt money and they infected America's system. And what began as $1 billion in Iran Contra has mushroomed, and I've got it up to as much as $4 billion that ultimately Epstein was able to launder through. And the final people holding the can on that $4 billion was the American people. The American people actually gave Jeffrey Epstein a bailout, it looks to me, of $4 billion at least, and maybe as much as $7 billion during the 2008 crash. And in goodwill, they did it under the right circumstances. But that, it seems, is where Donald Trump and, Jeffrey Epstein was able to withdraw the last bit of money from the American people. So it's kind of a stunning turn of events. But that's coming later in the series. This part of the series is going to look specifically at how Iran Contra and Towers Financial all coincided, and how there was this was an operation. This was an operation to infect America. It began with $1 billion during Iran Contra and has continued until now. And look what we have now. The president of the United States is one of those money launderers, Donald Trump.
And money laundering he did for a long time for the Russian mob. Money like home sales, inflated condo prices, et cetera, et cetera. You give me $100 million for this condo, I'll give you $95 million back. How does that sound? Great. And then they wash the money. And this was all at the end of Glasnost. If you remember back when Russia opened up, Boris Yeltsin came to power because everybody's like, "You fucked us," to Gorbachev. He's like, "We're poor now." Yeltsin comes in. That was the start of the oligarchy. Now, the interesting part is there was this massive rush back then to take as much money out of Russia and put it in the American economy as humanly possible, right? And as that plan was being curated, these oligarchs were making themselves rich under the plan of Boris Yeltsin. In comes a young Vladimir Putin, who rises to power, and he consolidated all that, leveraged all of that, and then used all of that and people like Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump to damage and destroy democracy in the United States of America. These girls, this ring, this trafficking is just part of it. It is a tool of it. We've said that dozens of times here on the show, as we all know. But you cannot hide from those facts. And the other thing you can't hide from, when you talk about the cover up, because we should be talking about the people behind Donald Trump, not necessarily just his association with Epstein, but who else was in those orgies? Who else was in those mansions? Who else was in those rooms? Who else was photographed? Who else, had money laundered for Donald Trump? Who else was he associated with? Who else was he tight with? Same with Jeffrey Epstein, because that's when you're going to get the full story. That's when you're going to find out how compromised the United States of America has become at the hands of Russian authorities. So, there's that piece. The other piece is the cover up of the cover up, meaning a year and a half, 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, actually it might have been more, it might have been 3 years ago. Quietly in the middle of the night, dozens of Epstein victims from Epstein Island that had material allegations sued JP Morgan. And I remember thinking when it happened, why would they sue a bank? Why would they do it? Well, because those lawyers are smart. They know where all the tea leaves are. They know that there is a money trail. And they know that JP Morgan knew. They knew who they were rinsing for. They knew who they were laundering for. They knew where the money was going. And to shut them all up, to stop everybody from asking questions, they paid those victims $292 million. They all got NDAs and everybody went away.
Yeah, I mean, it's very telling that that deal happened, but it also tells us that JP Morgan was wrong and that they knew that they were wrong. That was an admission, whether they said it or not in that settlement. They didn't ultimately, but it really was an admission that they did something wrong, that they were involved in this corrupt scheme, as was Deutsche Bank later on, and as was Bear Stearns. Bear Stearns was a very troubled enterprise that was also Trump's main financial advisors. But it was also where Epstein worked for many years, for a brief time, actually, officially. But unofficially, what I've discovered is that Epstein ran a lot of the offshore holdings for a group of Bear Stearns clients, which I can't tell who the clients are, but you can take a pretty good guess at who they might be. And this offshore holding called Liquid Financials became a really big depository for funds under very heavily leveraged conditions. In other words, this was the time of the high mortgage rates or the high risk mortgage
the
rates.
80s, like 20% interest. Yeah.
Also the way to 2008. This was a time when they were tanking basically the market, and the way they did it is they put a lot of money offshore, and then they leveraged a lot of bad debts in these offshore holdings against only $100,000. I think the final tally was something like $8 billion leveraged off $100,000. Yet, and so when that all collapsed, that's when the federal government stepped in, because the economy was crashing all around an incoming president, Barack Obama. They stepped in with a lot of bailouts, and that's where the money to bail out Jeffrey Epstein came. So, this is a fascinating but very, very intricate story. It goes back decades, and we're talking about 40 years of corruption, 40 years of the reason America does not have stable government ultimately is because corruption began seeping in the 80s and has stayed a part of our lives. This multinational organized criminal effort has been a part of our lives for 4 decades. And it's, and this is why you can't let this corruption in the door and ignore it, because once it's in the door, it just metastasizes. It's like a cancer.
You know how bad it must be for Donald Trump and everybody associated with whatever sort of money laundering, espionage, honeypotting, transnational criminality. Do you know how bad that must be when they're all willing to pay off publicly with $300 million victims associated with some of these crimes, where they're like, yeah, we'll take that hit.
Yeah.
Donald Trump will take that hit. He'll sit here and have people like Elon Musk accuse him of being a pedophile publicly, or organizations accuse him, and he's not doing anything other than saying it's not true and trying to distract everybody. But I can't underscore how fucking evil what is behind door number 2, how awful it must be for them to say, hey, the worst evil here is to accept blame that we were part of a transnational pedophile child trafficking ring.
Yeah.
How much worse is it? Because that's what Americans need to find out.
It's really bad. Remember, Rudy Giuliani was was a prosecutor on a lot of these cases. So a lot of the time when the money went disappearing and they were tanking companies left, right, and center, like Drexel, it was Rudy Giuliani who's supposedly the prosecutor. He's not exactly a fair-minded, impartial prosecutor. This guy is obviously on the payroll of many different organizations around the world. And so, even with Adnan Khashoggi, which is the center of the story that we're publishing today, he had a gorgeous apartment at the top of the Olympic Towers, spanned the 53rd and 54th floor. It took a combined 16 other apartments. You can imagine how big it is, with a pool. It's pretty nice. And Adnan Khashoggi was basically allowed into America by a fake charge against that was prosecuted by Rudy Giuliani. They basically accused him of doing something, and then he was let off. He was acquitted on the charges, and because he was acquitted already here in the United States, he was allowed to stay in the United States. And that's how the corrupt this system was, that we were letting in this guy who was this world famous arms dealer, and we allowed him into America to continue his business. And it's exactly what he did in the Olympic Towers. It's exactly what he did with Jeffrey Epstein. It's exactly what he did with with Towers Financial. And it continues, I think, to have implications around Donald Trump, because Donald Trump, remember, bought Khashoggi's bought Khashoggi's yacht, and that's another key piece of evidence that there were, that is important in this trail of putting together all these different aspects. Is why did Donald Trump land up with Khashoggi's famous yacht, which was the headquarters, really, of the arms trading that happened during Iran-Contra.
I didn't know that either. Dude, I'm learning so much from you today already.
I'm writing all of this. It's all at the top of my head. So I've got so much detail that I could just keep spreading. I've actually exceeded what I was trying to talk about today, because I just wanted to talk about today's story. But
yeah, I was going to say we're not even on number 4 yet, and my mind's blown.
It's an interesting. I mean, it's been a puzzle that I've been putting together for 8 years now, and it's stuff that was confirmed to me by Hoffenberg before he died, and reluctantly. Confirmed to me, but nevertheless, when I brought him all the evidence, he couldn't say anything else. But the act of putting it all together has taken a long time, and just new details have been coming up now that have helped me finalize the piece here. And it's really an interesting piece. I'll put it up later this afternoon. We should move into the number 4 story, which is, I think is here. Sorry. So America's new tourism slogan. This is from the deanblundell.substack.com. Incredible Substack. Trump signed a bombshell $250 visa integrity fee for tourists on July 4th, turning America into the world's most expensive vacation destination. Well, this is all happening while ICE raids terrorize legal visitors. We've got people being thrown into detention centers. A Canadian businesswoman with valid work papers has been locked in an Arizona immigration detention for 3 months, while entire tourism corridors in New York and Florida have become ghost towns. This really is impacting the states along the Canadian border dramatically. Tell us what you found out about this $250 fee, which is just ridiculous. I don't even think people want to visit the United States, never mind the additional $250 they've charged them.
Yeah, I mean, on top of the travel advisories from something like 14 different countries like ours, Germany, Sweden, Finland, warning their citizens, don't go to the United States no matter what you do. If you want to see a World Cup game in North America, Mexico, or Canada, do not go to the United States. And if you do, here are the list of things you can't do. Don't take your normal phone. Wipe your social media. Take biometrics off your phone so they can't hold it up to your face so it opens up your phone. Because, little known fact, but ICE and DHS are providing security at the World Cup, everybody. Security. ICE and DHS. The same guys rolling down your street in heavily armed tack gear, pulling a 72-year-old Consuela Lupido out of her home for living in the United States and paying her taxes for the past 60 years. Yes, they're going to be policing, and apparently they're telling everybody to go with documentation, with papers, because you are going to be asked to go back to 1939 to 1945. You'll hear this a lot if you go to any World Cup games. Papers, please. So if that's not as inviting as it sounds, it sounds so inviting. I mean,
it's so awful that, this is like the United States of America. This is the beacon of freedom. This is the place we all look up to, expect to go and feel free. And it's turned into, Gestapo world. It really is.
Yeah, it's no longer any of those things. It is that last thing.
Yeah.
On top of that, on top of the ICE raids, on top of soaring gun violence statistics, on top of the police state being firmly established and funded to the tune of $150 billion, Donald Trump, buried in the big, beautiful turd known as a bill, put a charge in there. Every single human being that comes into the United States for a vacation, traveling, tourist, has to give the Trump regime, the United States of America, the Trump regime, $250 US just to fucking stand on US soil. So before that you get in, you haul out your credit card. Let's say it's a family of 5.
Yeah.
It's called the Visa Integrity Act. The word integrity, I think, is fucking just brilliant. So it's like supposed to guarantee that if you're a bad person, that you're going to put up $250 and it's going to hurt you a little bit. So, yeah, and you're not getting it back, by the way. It's not like give us $250 when you leave the country, you're going to get the $250 back. It's like 250 clams right there. Boom, it's all yours.
It's an extortion fee.
It's exactly what it is. It's I've landed in the United States of America and I have no other choice because I've got, a week booked in Disney World with my fucking family of 4 in tow, 5 people total. It's going to cost you another $1,250 just to walk out of customs, just to walk into the United States. And by the way, that's not just one person. That's everybody. I had some RFK troll. There's literally RFK and Trump trolls now on Substack. I didn't know.
Substack's not as safe as it used to be, but there you go.
I know. Some guy was like, I cross-referenced every one of your claims over this Visa integrity fee. It's a lie. I'm like, no, it's not. Because I ran it through like 4 different large language models, got it fact-checked, grammar checked, made sure that I was right, which I do every single time I put something out. And I questioned myself for a second, and then I realized, oh my God, the assholes are on Substack now too. The trolls and the paid bots, but they only come after people like you, me, Lev and I were talking about it earlier. We do a Monday roundup. It was great. It was a lot of fun. We're kind of recapping some of this stuff, not as in depth, but it is truly, America is truly the land of fuck you now.
Yeah.
They don't want you in the United States. You don't want us in the United States, which is okay because we're boycotting the United States. We're boycotting Trump's United States, and we've caused about $60 billion in damage to the U.S. tourism industry. And the U.S. tourism industry, 2 spokespeople from the tourism industry, world tourism industry, came forward and they're like, you're going to kill us. You are killing tourism. They have killed so many businesses, border businesses, where Canadians for decades, generations would go to Maine, Vermont, Bellingham, New York, Pennsylvania, New England. I mean, listen, we've been great friends for a long time. We used to love spending our money there. No one's safe there. Our government's telling us that. We're listening on top of it. Now, what they're saying to us is, and none of us really want to be like Paula Calleos, who's a Canadian still in an ICE detention center for the last 3.5 months, and they're refusing to communicate with the Canadian government about why or where she is. And there are now 74 last count Canadians that were or are in the United States that have been picked up and thrown in ICE detention centers. So there's that, but there's also Finnish people. There's Portuguese. There's people from all over the fucking world that he's just grabbing because it's like you're a day late on your visa, whatever, doesn't matter. My point is this:
$50 to get into the country, and then you still could also be thrown into a detention center and maybe not see the light of day for a few months.
Imagine paying that too. First of all, there's obviously the people that don't have any bad intentions. You go to the United States, you get it's extortion when you get there.
Yeah.
The second you walk into the United States, you're extorted. But how about this? You're paying that extortion fee for an opportunity to maybe get your head kicked in and get disappeared to a fucking detention center like the new one I just read about in Michigan.
While
Jesus
funding
Christ.
I want to hear about that, but while funding the ICE crackdown that is happening, because that money, that $12.5 billion that's being raised, is partially going to go to be funding the ICE expansion, which is really this 100,000 person detention thing that they want to do, concentration camps, call it what you will, around the country, and this increase in the ICE police force. I mean, it is anyone with any sense of morality will not travel to the United States just based on the fact that that $250 is going to that purpose, to build concentration camps. So it's just appalling. What did you hear? What is this thing in Michigan that's going on?
Oh, it's a new ICE detention center. It's literally in the middle of death in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, like in the middle of nowhere, where it takes you an hour to get anywhere, and it's built in some of the most harshest conditions. It's what they're doing, right? Is they're building
torturing people. Siberia is basically what they're doing. It's like
Baldwin, Michigan, I believe. It's in and around Baldwin, Michigan. So it is, and this isn't the only one. I believe there are 7 to 12 that are under construction or nearing completion. In the United States of America, they're only talking about the ones that look the most dangerous to scare the shit out of you when you come for a vacation, just in case you plan on overstaying your visa by an hour. That happened yesterday,
they
too.
can throw you into detention for any reason. There's not even due process. You're not guaranteed.
Dude, even before this, I had a friend that went to the United States, crossed in Detroit. He got taken to the Macomb County Prison for an outstanding ticket that he had he totally forgot about it. For 3 days. They kept him there for 72 hours because they could. And then they had to let him go. They don't have to do any of that anymore.
No, the new
Section 232 says you're a fucking danger to their national security. He's relying on that. Supreme Court, which, that's another conversation. Who the fuck from the Supreme Court is in the Epstein files? That's what I want to know. Seriously, I really want to know. My money's on Clarence.
There is a connection around the former
John Roberts, Clarence Thomas.
No, the former was it Anthony? Who was the guy?
Yes. What's his name? The Italian dude.
No.
The big fat Italian guy. I can't remember his name.
That's the other guy. But there is. I'm going to look it up. I can't believe I can't remember these names. It'll come to me in a second. But there is a connection, and there's a connection with Roberts as well, isn't there? I think whose son was involved.
Somewhere I saw a picture of him swimming in the ocean, which looked like in front of Little St. Jeff Island, but I could be wrong. Could have been propaganda.
I'm going to look this up later because I got to dig up my notes. But there's a lot of interesting notes around how the Supreme Court might be, involved in the Deutsche Bank.
That was a
Jeffrey Epstein thing.
Sure. Let's try and figure that out next in the next FiveStack. That'll be a lot of fun. But between the $250 fee and the travel warnings, don't go to the United States. I'm seeing all my American friends here, beautiful American friends who we miss. We miss you. We love you. Yeah. Telling everybody, don't come here. It's on. It's here. You talk about that 6 months. You want to get to story number 3, the 6 months of a dictatorship. And when Americans who are so proud and they love their country are like, please don't come here. We love you too much.
I want to go. I can't go. I can't believe I can't go because I'm sure it's not safe. I'm sure that something's going to happen to me if I do. The number 3 story is Stephen Colbert's Late Show got canceled not for bad ratings. They say it's for bad ratings. It's not for bad rating. But for exposing how CBS parent company Paramount paid Trump $16 million to make a frivolous lawsuit disappear and clear the path for their $8 billion merger with Skydance Media. Colbert called it a big fat bribe on air, and days later he was gone in what Jimmy Kimmel called corporate censorship under political pressure. This follows Trump's authoritarian playbook. I mean, Colbert's a good guy. Colbert has been telling, the truth through a lot of jokes and for a very long time. And it's a tragedy that this foreign-funded takeover of CBS is happening and that they're being allowed to kill this Late Show, which has been, I think Colbert's been one of the best Late Show hosts in the history of the Late Show.
Yeah, he is, and it's an iconic time slot. If you're a Letterman fan, that was Letterman's time slot. I was a Letterman nut. Used to watch Letterman when I was a kid. When he gave the show to Colbert, I was actually really happy, even though it was sad to miss Dave. Love Dave. Still love Dave. Listen, this is what dictatorships do. This is 101. If you follow Ruth Ben-Ghiat, who's just incredible, she covers authoritarianism. There are markers. Silencing media is one of those markers. There is money attached to this deal, too. Skydance currently trying to merge and take over CBS. Skydance, Miss Redstone owns Skydance, as you know. Try to do a deal with the CBS.
Ellison family owns Skydance.
Other way around. Yeah.
Owns CBS, yeah.
Other way around.
He's trying to get out of the deal.
Yeah, this is an Ellison, both Ellison, the elder Ellison and the son are deep, deep, deep Trump supporters. Big MAGA guys, right?
Big Bibi Netanyahu supporters. I mean, this is the thing. They're
major,
basically under running under the auspices of Bibi Netanyahu.
So when Trump sued CBS over the edited Kamala video, if you remember that correctly, when he refused to do one, later found out it wasn't edited. Not only did they capitulate, they said, what do you want? To Trump. And Trump's like, well, I'll tell you what I want. I want you to fire Stephen Colbert because he's telling bad jokes about me. I don't like those jokes. I hate Stephen Colbert. He's gone after Colbert dozens and dozens and dozens of times. He's threatened Stephen Colbert dozens of times. So when billions of dollars in your pocket, right? Ms. Redstone, she's going to get a lot of money. Just a lot of money from the Ellison.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars. are supposed to come in, and this merger and these billions are attached to Donald Trump's signature for the merger, right? President has to approve it for some fucked up reason. I don't know why. You should never be involved in it.
President should not have anything to do with it. It's really the FCC that's approving it. But because he has such tight control over the FCC, he's the one who can basically tell them to do it or not. And so he's using the FCC basically to get this $16 million bribe. You know, it's weaponizing an agency that he shouldn't be weaponizing, but he doesn't care. You know, it's Donald Trump. He'll do whatever he wants to get the money.
So exactly, 100%. So they tell Stephen Colbert, this is what as I understand it, they tell Stephen Colbert, listen, we have to do this deal. Take it easy on Trump. Doesn't take it easy on Trump because he's a man of his word. He's doing comedy. It's punditry. It's like he's one of the greatest at it, right? But he does it with morals and he does it with character. Like, he's just a fucking brilliant guy. And satirizing politicians has always been it's as old as fucking humanity. It's as old as politics. Donald Trump said to Miss Redstone and the Ellisons, get rid of him. And he did so the day after the deal was struck, and it became front page news that CBS paid Donald Trump a $16 million lawsuit bribe. Stephen Colbert goes on because he's a man of his word. He says, hey, this is what happened. I think it's a big fat bribe, but I could take a bribe if someone's going to give me $16 million, like da-da-da-da-da. The next day, that day, he's nominated for an Emmy. He's got the most watchers, the most listened to. He's the most successful late-night talk show host in the world, okay? Ratings are fantastic. The next day, he gets fired, and they blame it on a financial decision. It was the next day, and he goes on the next day, and he's like, hey, everybody, today is, just want to let you know that this I'm out of here in May. Not only is the show ceased to exist, or I won't be here anymore, the show's done. Boom. They make tens of millions of dollars, maybe more than that, off the Late Show.
Yeah.
And like profit. I'm not talking, I don't know exactly what the number is, but I've heard in the neighborhood of 80 to 90 million after everything's said and done, after everything's paid for. And they said it was a financial decision. It wasn't. It wasn't. Donald Trump told Miss Redstone, told the Ellisons, part of any deal, get rid of that fucking guy.
Yeah.
And it worked. The president of the United States got Stephen Colbert fired for telling jokes about him.
This is not, new to me because I've been in that world, that CBS network world is so full of this kind of political interference and corruption. You know, I was let go for covering gay marriages way back in the day because they didn't want us to talk about gay marriages as a possibility in the United States. And that I'm sure is an external order that came in to CBS. But there's also this where I call them the media mafia of New York. There's all the network presidents sort of know each other. They all hang out in the same place. They all have their blacklists. They have their people that they're willing to hire and not hire. And don't forget, Donald Trump came out of that world because he was a celebrity. He was a TV celebrity for NBC. He was, one of NBC's biggest stars. So he was integrated into that world of the New York media mafia. And so now he knows all the players. He takes everything they say very, very personally because he knows them all. And in this case, he knew how to get rid of Colbert. And it's no surprise that he did something like that. But what it's doing to CBS is unbelievable. I mean, firstly, 60 Minutes is now under some new supervisional structure that doesn't have independence anymore, which means they won't be likely covering any Palestinian stories anytime in the near future. Which is really the point of contention that people had with 60 Minutes. And 60 Minutes is a venerable, one of the most beautiful examples of successful network television, has always been independent. And now they have new foreign ownership that is overseeing their production. And now we have Colbert, who's just fantastic. I've worked with him. Top-notch guy. It's super professional no matter what. Always there, always hilarious no matter what. And he gives so much of himself, and he cares so much about the truth, and he cares so much about educating people through the truth that it really shows on the air. He's authentically a brilliant guy who is able to communicate news to people in a way that's palatable to a vast population that may not watch the news. And to have him gone is a real tragedy because the other guys don't do it at all. Look him
You know, you touch on something that I think is important, and we can move on. I just to add a little postscript to what you said so eloquently and beautifully. Unless you've worked in mainstream media, I've been very fortunate enough to have spent 15 years working for one of the biggest Canadian media companies. I no longer work there. Haven't for a very long time. Grateful for it. Worked for another very big media company after that. We'll never do that again. I will never, ever, ever. For a couple of reasons. One is you're a number. They don't give a shit. Number two, the executive relationships of media companies are owned by, you ready for this? Politicians and business elite. Okay? The executive relationships, to your point, network execs, presidents, CEOs, CFOs, they're all members of political parties, lobby groups, and special interest groups. All of them. That's how they network. That's how they connect. They have never, the media in our country and in your country, unless it's PBS, unless it's CBC, they have never served the readership or the listenership. And it has never been more apparent that that is the case. So when you wonder where the news has gone, wonder no more. When you wonder where information has gone, you've only been getting the information that those politicians, business elites, and media executives have allowed you to have over the past 100-odd years. Right? It's literally why mainstream media fought the internet when the internet came out, because they're like, we're going to lose control of all the fucking narratives. Well, they did. They did. And now media's broke. Mainstream media sucks. No one pays attention to them because I believe by and large, it doesn't matter who you voted for in this last election, whether you're MAGA, whether you're progressive, whether you're liberal, whether you're conservative, is that nobody trusts mainstream media because almost everybody understands that now. Almost everybody. And you should share this with people and specifically share this part. I don't know what time we're at right now. We got like
50 minutes.
Yeah, we're 50 minutes in. Share this with people. Tell them to fast forward. If you're like, this person trusts Fox News. No, I don't trust anybody. I don't trust CNN. I don't trust Fox News. I don't trust CBS. I don't trust NBC. I definitely don't trust the Post Media Group here in Canada. It's owned, 70% of Canada's daily newspapers are owned by Chatham Asset Management, which is funded by a mega hedge fund.
Pecker.
David Pecker. Yes, absolutely. So don't question the importance of media, but question everything you're being told by mainstream media outlets because their CEOs, you're seeing it play out with the Skydance-CBS merger, they are owned wholly by the people in politics that open up doors, cut regulation, and sign deals like Donald Trump is getting ready to sign and the FCC is getting ready to sign to approve this Skydance-CBS merger. But before that happens, he got his fucking pound of flesh. This is not the first time it's happened either.
And a lot of that money comes from foreign sources. It's not American money. And American newspapers and American news organizations should be owned by Americans. It's a disgrace that they're being sold out in this way to foreign institutions. But, that's life. Story number 2. Astronomer CEO Andy Byron resigned after getting caught on Coldplay's Kiss Cam with his married head of HR, creating the most expensive concert moment in corporate history as their awkward, I don't know how to describe it, embrace, I guess it was ducking and then
cuddling. There was a
cuddling. It is a beautiful song. I would
really was.
Too. And then just very, very embarrassedly covered their faces. It went viral with 100 million TikTok views. The company generated 22,000 news articles in 24 hours. I'd never even heard of it, and now I have. But he's gone. He's no longer going to be with the company. Chris Martin's quip about them having an affair or being very shy. Well, I gather it's the first of those options because both of them are married to other people. And that is the end of Mr. Byron's career at astronomy.com or astronomer.com. It's funny. It's funny. And it's funny. And there's a funny news story in the news. Even though it's a little sad that they lost their jobs and a little sad they're having affairs. But
is it sad? I'm not sad. I'm sure they're fine. They got great pay packages. I'm sure they, unless they got fired with cause. Listen. was a great viral moment. I think the real crime here, and I believe this from the bottom of my heart, is that they like Coldplay.
You don't like Coldplay?
I can't stand Coldplay.
You don't like
Yellow,
Coldplay?
one song. Yes, I'm human. I can't stand Coldplay. It's too ethereal for me. It's like it's too much. Like every time I listen to Coldplay, I feel like I should be drinking like hibiscus tea, looking at a lake. It's not me. I can't do it.
You should have disclosed this before we started the show because I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. We can dislike and like Coldplay differently.
Really?
Yes, we
can.
Oh
my gosh. Who do you like? Who do you listen to?
I listen to music you probably don't like. Tool, Clutch. No, never heard of those bands.
Tool, Clutch. No.
Yeah,
I haven't heard Tool actually. I haven't heard
Yeah. A lot of people should listen to more Tool
music.
Yeah, I know. I'd go legitimately. Like if you said I got a free concert ticket to go see Coldplay, I would say no. And if you said I'll pay you to come, I would still say no.
What if
because I have no desire to go and see? Yeah, well, it's not even that. It's just I can't believe and it's funny because someone put out a tweet the other day. There's like in his name, "Hi guys, Andy Byron here. Just wanted to say, a lot of stuff's been said, but yes, I am a Coldplay fan." And I'm like, I can't be alone in the comments. Everybody here's looking at me like, "You don't like Coldplay?" No, I've never liked Coldplay. Yellow, that's the only song I like. That's it.
It's a good
Just
song.
Yellow.
It's a really good
It's a great song.
Yeah,
it's not a cuddle-worthy song.
Sorry?
It's not a cuddle-worthy song.
No, I mean, listen, I think a lot of their music is very like inspiring and uplifting, and that's good. I like uplifting music. So you like music that you thrash to? Like did you ever have long hair?
Yeah. I had long hair for a long time. Keep in mind, I used to do it like a heavy rock morning radio show for a very long period of time, right? So like
that explains everything, right?
But I also don't mind some Phil Collins, and I'll get made fun of here for that. I'm a big Phil Collins fan too.
You are. I like Phil Collins. That's good.
Everybody likes Phil Collins.
Eric Clapton. Do you like Eric Clapton?
I used to before he got really, really racist.
Yeah, is he? Did he? I don't know that.
Oh, yeah, big time. Yeah.
Regardless, do you like his music? Do you like it? You like the music?
Wonderful Tonight, yes. Tears in Heaven, yes. Anything from his Cream days, no. I don't.
The Eagles? You like the Eagles?
Nope.
No, you don't like the Eagles?
No, I can't. I can't do the Eagles. I can do ELO. Electric Light Orchestra.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Hello?
Xanadu. Didn't they do Xanadu?
I don't know. I think that's... Dude, I think that's fucking Olivia Newton-John.
No, they also did the orchestra or something, I think, in Xanadu. Anyhow, we digress. Sorry, Mr. Byron, and sorry you lost your job, and sorry, HR
I don't care at all.
But it's funny. And the number one story on the countdown today, what are we back here to? Trump is melting down in real time and the Epstein files scandal explodes. Well, we know this. We discussed this at the top of the show. We didn't really discuss this part, this Obama getting arrested fever dream. We did sort of discuss it.
We kind of did number one and number five, but like, listen, I think this is a really good opportunity for us to point out. And I want everybody to, like, I got a Truth Social account the other day. I didn't tell you this. I'm on Truth. Yeah, I'm on Truth Social. Not under my name, but because I had to see the craziness for myself. Like, I really did. I had
the news does happen there occasionally, right?
No, not really. It's just like, that's where the fake news starts. That's where the catcalling starts. That's where the conspiracies start. And he put out a series of tweets this weekend, whether it was his lawsuit against Rupert Murdoch or how he is demanding that the Washington Commanders change their name back to the Redskins. And if they don't, he won't approve. I mean, everything comes back to him and how fucking awesomely powerful he thinks he is. I will not approve your stadium deal if you don't go back to the name Redskins. It's a slur. It is. Just is. I'm a pretty open-minded dude, right? Like it's a slur, and the indigenous communities don't like it.
Call themselves whatever they want as well.
Yeah,
that's their decision.
Yeah,
not his decision.
So, long story short, when I finished with Lev today, it was never more. I was never more aware of the game, right?
Yeah.
The game is Ukraine, and the game is to stay out of prison. The game is to give Vladimir Putin what he wants, and to stay out of prison. So he does things like puts out tweets about football and racist names so he could go viral. And then when nobody interacts with it, he talks about how huge that post was. Like he did that this weekend. He's like, this was a huge post, totally fucking went viral. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, you're the president of the United States. Keep your eyes on the prize.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes on Donald Trump trying to outrun being a known pedophile, trying to outrun all of his pedophile friends being outed as known pedophiles, and keep an eye on his partnership with Vladimir Putin, who yesterday beat the living shit out of Ukraine, beat the living shit out of Kyiv, bombed the tunnels, the tunnel entrances to metros, filling them with smoke where people were trying to get away from the bombings. Hundreds and hundreds of drones. Hundreds and hundreds of drones.
You know, the thing that I just can't get it. I just can't get through my head, although I understand why it's happening and how it's happening, is that Tulsi Gabbard, who is the director of national intelligence, is out there peddling complete fake bullshit, like complete made up
Dude,
nonsense.
Did you see? Let me just put this back in. She went on a bunch of network news availabilities this weekend, including Fox, and she's like, because they're trying so fucking desperately to introduce doubt over the Epstein stuff and his fucking friendship with Putin. But he's like, she goes, you know what? We've got some real, information. Can't say what it is.
Yeah.
It's real information. Donald Trump is a victim of not Biden, not Comey, not Chris Wray, not Brennan, all of which he said did this to him. The Russia stuff, the Epstein stuff. He is now fixed on Obama. Why is he fixed on Obama? Why did he put out that deepfake of the FBI, him sitting next to Obama in the Oval Office, the FBI arresting him? And in the video, you look at the video, Obama's on his knees in this deepfake, and Trump is in front of him laughing in his face. Why would he do that? Why would he do any of those things? Very, very simple. The reason why he did the Obama thing is because that's the big fish. You really want to change the channel? You don't go after Comey. You don't go after Brennan. You go after America's only former black president. And you feed that to your racist, MAGA, dopey, bastard fucking followers. And you work them up into a tizzy because they're too stupid to realize the difference between a deep fake, and they get motivated and excited by the same shit. And they're like, oh my God, there's my white president going after that black guy that I hate. That's what that was.
Yep. That's
what that was. And it was to introduce doubt about the deep state, which he is. He is the deep state. He represents the deep state. And so he's trying to get people to go, no, I'm going to go after him. It was racist. It was 25th Amendment worthy.
Yeah.
Almost everything that comes out of his Truth Social account is 25th Amendment worthy at this point. So everybody go on Truth Social, get an account, or if not, just Google it. I'm sure you'll be able to see it. But pay attention. Pay attention to why he's doing these things. Not what he's doing, why.
But you remember a few weeks ago, we were all saying, there's some sort of rift between Putin and Trump. Well, when Tulsi Gabbard, who basically works for Putin, is putting out this bullshit about Obama, it makes me think that there is no rift at all. That yet again, we're just being played along here. And he gave Putin this extra 50 days. He's now doing what he wanted to do, destroying even greater parts of Kyiv and of Ukraine, and hoping to take over even a bigger portion.
These 50 days were to clear the way for Putin's summer offensive, dude.
Yeah. And now we've got, Tulsi Gabbard, who's supposed that, if they are so on the outs with each other, Tulsi Gabbard would not be out there peddling Obama, crimes that never happened. But she is, and that means that there's still very much a very dangerous alliance between the president of the United States and the president of Russia, and that they're after the destruction of America, which is another good reason to check out deanbrundell.substack.com, because there is where you get tons of news every day, where you get all the information you need about stories that matter to democracy and how authoritarian creep is happening. And you can check it out at a discount rate, I believe, right now.
50% off till the end of the month, everybody. Wow. 50% off annual subscriptions. Never pay more. You get unlimited access. You get to join us for chats, Q&As like we did with Lev today, like we're doing again on Friday. You get to feed into the show, and we get to have these conversations. Noble Blend, good to see you. Kat, always good to have you back. Publix and Aphrodisiacs, not Politics and Aphrodisiacs. Nice to see you. Sorry, everybody. We've got several hundred people in here, and you know what? It's incredible because I say this all the time. You trust us with your time, which is so much more important than trusting us with anything else, with your minds. So thank you. Make sure you share this. Make sure you follow Zev. He's got an incredible special coming out connecting all the dots between Epstein, the Iran-Contra affair, and Trump and that relationship in the 80s and 90s. Narrative.org. Go and subscribe to that if you want great context. Context is everything in this space, right? It really is. In a world where distractions work, to get all the context and to understand it in a foundational way, you won't have to pay attention to the distractions, and you can literally visually see them as exactly what they are, which is just bullshit. So make sure you follow us, share us.
Did you suddenly sneak in that you were doing a Friday show with Lev?
Yeah. Yeah, we did it last Friday too, and the Friday before. It's just by the end of the week,
I feel a little
left out.
Be kiss camming on me,
dude. I got.
I believe this could be a kiss cam moment. And I don't know what to do
about it. Coldplay concert. Just
and you don't like Coldplay, so I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Dude, you're my Substack live husband. Okay, like y'all never replace you.
Except you got another.
I'm cheating on you with Lev. Yes,
cheating with Lev.
Sorry, buddy. I do. Listen, I do you 5 days a week.
You do me 5 days a week. That's right.
There you go. Yeah.
But now you do Lev 2 times a week. We need to negotiate.
Yeah, but dude, people need to know. And fuck, when are you going to get like a former Trump Giuliani associate going, hey, can we go live today? Never. I'm like, yes, we can. Absolutely.
I think it's great. I love Lev. I love you. And you guys keep going. And, the more people out there doing independent news, the more we're sharing the right opinion of people. I mean, this is a joint effort by a lot of us to try and really compete against this mass media operation and this foreign media operation to destroy America. And we're tiny voices as individuals. So the more we can collaborate, the more voices we can get out, the more truth we can get out, the better it is for everybody. So, you can cheat on him with me. He's okay.
Thanks, buddy.
Put him on the list. We can put him on the list.
You cheat on me with Olga all the time.
Yeah, we can all be on the list together. We can all do whatever we want to do.
Just, what we might as well do is just aggregate all of it in one place for everybody. That's what we should
be doing. That. We should be doing that.
We'll just work on it. All right.
We will work on that. That is
dude, Maddow is, hang on. Okay, just to your point, Maddow, who's a very smart Rhodes Scholar, Rachel Maddow, is starting her own news network. And apparently the first hire is going to be none other than Stephen Colbert. So
is that real?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Yep. So why don't we do like a low rent version of that?
Is she really starting her own news network? That's good.
Yeah. She is. She really is. Yeah.
Online or on?
Don't know the details.
Is she leaving MSNBC?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a joint venture. It's just a rumor. It's a well-established rumor, but it's a rumor, yeah.
Interesting. We'll follow up with that. That is the FiveStack today. Thank you for being here. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. We'll see you then. Have a good day, Dean and everybody.